You've probably heard this a million times. Technology is the key to fixing human error, right? To get rid of our biases. But what if? What if adding more tech, especially more AI, is actually a trap? What if it could make the problem even worse? Well, that's the pretty wild idea we're digging into today, and it's all based on a fascinating study that just might flip everything you think you know about AI on its head.
So, this is the big question. Does more AI actually mean less bias? I mean, it seems like it should. You'd think that data-driven machines would be way more objective than we are. But, as you're about to see, the research we're diving into suggests the real answer is, well, it's a lot more complicated, and it points in a direction you're probably not expecting.
And really, this slide just nails the two sides of the AI coin. On one hand, you have this incredible promise of efficiency and smart, data-driven decisions that could revolutionize whole industries. But then there's the flip side, this growing fear that these same systems can hide, or even worse, amplify our own worst biases, leading to some really unfair outcomes.
So that brings us right to what the researchers found, which I'm going to call the AI paradox. It's this idea that directly challenges our default setting of just, throwing more tech at a problem.
And look, this isn't just some made-up fear. This quote, it's pulled right from the study. It really frames the core problem they went after. As we weave AI deeper and deeper into our systems, I'm talking everything from managing inventory to approving loans. Does that actually increase the danger of bias?
Okay, so how do they actually test this idea? Let's go inside the investigation for a second, because this wasn't just some theoretical exercise. No, this was a serious, real-world study.
The researchers went straight to the front lines. They focused on the super fast-growing fintech and supply chain industries in Pakistan, and they talked to the pros who are using these AI systems day in and day out. Then they used this really powerful statistical method to basically draw a map showing how all these different pieces connect to and influence AI bias. And we're not talking about a small group of people here. They surveyed 381 professionals. That's everyone from the data scientists who are literally building the algorithms to the compliance officers trying to keep everything in check. So their findings are built on a really solid foundation of what's actually happening out there.
All right, so all of this work, all of this data, it all builds up to the single, most surprising, counterintuitive finding of the whole study. This is the moment where that big assumption we started with gets turned completely upside down.
So what do you think? If you had to guess the biggest driver of AI bias, you'd probably say, what, bad data? Maybe a poorly written algorithm? But the study asked an even more basic question. What happens when you just use more AI?
And here it is. The researchers found a direct, positive link. The more deeply a company integrated AI into how it does things, the more bias people saw in its decisions. Let me say that again because it's so important. More AI was linked to more bias, not less.
This chart just lays it out so clearly. You see the companies with low AI integration, they've reported lower levels of bias. But as that integration level shoots up, boom, so does the bias. It's just this stark visual that shows how simply adding more tech without the right safeguards doesn't fix a thing. It could actually make it worse.
Now that might sound a little terrifying, but the good news is the study didn't just point out the problem, it also pointed to the solutions. So let's pivot and look at what they called the anti-bias toolkit, 4 proven things that the research showed can really fight back against this trend.
Okay, here are the 4 big ones. First, use a bunch of different algorithms. That way you're not relying on one single, possibly flawed model. Second, train your people. Your employees are your first line of defense, and they need to know what to look for. Third, and this one's a classic for a reason, you gotta have better, more diverse data. And finally, strong rules and regulations create a framework that pushes for ethical AI. Every single one of these was shown to make a real difference.
But there was one more factor, a kind of secret weapon that totally changes the game. It's not about the tech itself, but the human environment it operates in.
That secret weapon is organizational culture. Yeah, we're talking about the shared values, the ethics, the very backbone of a company. It's not just some slogan on a poster. It's about how people are actually empowered to make decisions about technology every single day.
So what the study found is that culture acts like a filter. You can see it here. Even if you have a ton of AI in your system, if you pass it through a strong ethics-focused culture, it can actually intercept and neutralize the bad stuff. It's like it catches the bias before it can do any real damage.
At the end of the day, technology is an amazing tool, but it doesn't exist in a vacuum. I think the biggest takeaway from this whole study is that building the right kind of human culture isn't just a nice-to-have, It's literally one of the most powerful tools we have for fighting bias in our AI.
And that really brings us to the final critical question. If AI is basically a mirror reflecting the values of the people who make it and use it, then what is your organization's culture going to teach it? It's about so much more than better code. It's about building a better, more conscious human framework around all this incredible technology we're creating.